Whether you're participating in collaborations or promoting your lead magnet, you need a welcome sequence. And if the thought of writing a welcome sequence has you feeling overwhelmed, then today's episode is for you, mama. In this episode, I'm sharing 4 methods for taking the overwhelm out of writing your welcome sequence and cutting down the entire process to 1 hour or less. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Hey, mama. Welcome to Marketing Without Socials for Moms, the go-to podcast for moms in business who want to stop relying on social media to build their business and build it in a way that fits their current season of life. I'm your host, Andria, a wife, mama of 2, and visibility strategist for moms. Each week, I'm giving you the inside scoop on how to increase your visibility, leads, and sales through podcasting, email marketing, and collaborations. Ready to truly make social media optional in your business? Grab your chai tea latte and let's dive into today's episode. Writing your welcome sequence shouldn't feel like pulling teeth. It shouldn't be stressful, and it also doesn't need to take you hours to do. One of the mamas inside of the Social Media Detox Club recently asked a question about writing her welcome sequence. She shared that she was feeling like the process was going to take her forever and that she didn't want to rush the process because she knows it's needed, especially as she starts participating in collaborations. And so she wanted my advice on how to go about doing this based on her current capacity. And I absolutely love that she asked this question because I have been there before and I still experience this at times. And so I shared with her about like 4 different options she had to go about doing this. So that way it didn't take her a long time and it didn't feel like it was just this overwhelming thing and whatnot. And I didn't want it to deter her from participating in collaborations and everything. So I'm going to walk you through these 4 methods. The first one is to write a shorter sequence and then add to it later. And I know this can feel kind of like, okay, I'm not completing the sequence. Like, this is not how you're supposed to do it. But the reality is that you may not have the capacity right now to write, a welcome sequence that has like 5 to 7 emails. And that's okay. It's better to have something than not have anything at all. And so do a shorter sequence and then add to it later when you have the time and capacity. And so I actually did this with my newest lead magnet, Make Social Media Optional. If you downloaded that lead magnet, you only got 2 emails from me for the welcome sequence. And I did this because I did not have the capacity to write a longer welcome sequence. Like I launched this in December, I think it was like around the holidays, and I just wasn't in the mental headspace to write a full welcome sequence. And I didn't want to plan it out. I didn't want to think about it. And I was like, you know what? I need to get this private podcast out and start promoting it. And so I'm just going to do a shorter sequence. And basically, I did 2 emails in a sequence, and then everybody got moved over to my weekly emails. And it's fine. Like, it wasn't the end of the world. Now that I have more capacity and everything, I'm updating it so that way it is a longer sequence. But I just kept it short and sweet. And so basically what I did was the first email was essentially like their introduction to me, my story, and then it also included a poll that allowed me to kind of learn more about them and why they were ultimately there, like what type of content they really wanted to see from me. And then the second email shares, what they can expect going forward. So getting them acclimated with, my flow when it comes to like how many emails I send and what type of content I create for the email community. And then also shared a couple of ways that they could get support from me outside of my emails. And honestly, it took me about 20 minutes total to write both of the emails. It was super simple and it gave them something, right? Like they got added to my weekly emails, which my emails provides lots of value and everything. And so I didn't feel bad about it. I didn't feel like, oh, it's the end of the world and whatnot. Like I gave them something, especially helping them, like if they were completely new to my world, helping them to like learn more about who I am and really helping them to decide whether or not this email community is a community they want to be a part of. So that's your first option. The other option is to create an outline for your welcome sequence. I find that a lot of people get stuck with writing their welcome sequence because they tend to overthink, what do I write, instead of going into it with a plan. And I have found that creating an outline and writing the emails from the outline simplifies the entire writing process. You can always, go back and change this at a later day. And truthfully, you are going to have to update it at some point, after more people have gone through your sequence and you review the analytics. And if you're not seeing, a certain number of conversions, which I think usually it's like less than 5%, you'll see conversions like from like a welcome sequence. But if you're not seeing that engagement, or if you're seeing people like immediately unsubscribing from the welcome sequence, yeah, you're going to have to go up and tweak it and change it and everything. Like your first welcome sequence is not going to be perfect, but you creating this outline is going to help you actually create something so that way you can have people go through the sequence and you can see what's working and what's not working. But the outline, keep it super simple. So here's a basic outline for you. You can do an email that introduces yourself and shares your story, like your why and everything as it relates to why they joined your email list. So like whatever that offer was that brought them onto your email list. Create 1 to 2 emails that highlights like problem aware, like really showing them, what their problem is, speaking to those pain points and everything, you know, being empathetic, letting them know like you get it, you see them, you understand, you've been there before, you've supported clients through this before. Creating email that drives them to other pieces of content as it relates to how they joined your email list. And this is one of the things I love doing, is especially because my podcast, that's my highest converter for me. So I will drive them to specific podcast episodes that's going to nurture them further, but also gets them starting to binge the podcast and everything. So you can do that. Drive them to, your long form content. And then you'll want to do like an email that introduces your offer and sells your offer as a solution. And this is where you can introduce like your frameworks and your processes. And you even can do like an email that addresses an objection. So really driving them to that offer. And then also doing 1 to 2 emails that highlights a client. So doing like case study emails. You want to include those client wins. You want them to be able to see themselves in your client and everything. So that is like a basic outline. And I want you to actually outline the email so that way when you go to write them, you're just fleshing out those outlines and, filling in those missing pieces and formatting it for the email. Again, keeping it simple. So with these ideas, you can write anywhere from about 5 to 7 emails for your welcome sequence. So that's the second method. The third method is repurposing old content. And honestly, this is the most low energy, low effort method. Like this will not take you long at all. So repurposing old content from other emails, social media content, long form content. We create a lot of content as business owners and we don't repurpose it enough. I literally have kicked myself where I'm like, dang, I'm over here creating all this new content when I could be repurposing all this other content I've already created. Like, repurpose your content, especially if it's high performing content. So going back through your email analytics and looking at those emails that have, high open and click rates and everything, repurpose that content. Again, it doesn't matter if it's social media content, old emails, long form content, repurpose. This is the simplest way to create your welcome sequence because you aren't starting from scratch. All you have to do is just clean up that content you're repurposing and make a few minor tweaks so that it's in an email format and you're good to go. Not everyone sees your content, or maybe they joined your email list or enter your world after you have published that content. And so they may have not even seen any of it. Repurpose that content, mama. Like, this will honestly take you an hour max to do. It does not have to be complicated. Like, this is something I've started doing, especially with welcome sequences, is going back through my old emails and cleaning them up, tweaking them and whatnot, and repurposing them. Because even if somebody who's already on my email list and they were sent that email before, they don't remember it. And if they do, you know what? Maybe they needed to read it again. So repurpose it. Like, this is the number one method here. Like, this is actually what I'm doing for the welcome sequence for the Make Social Media Optional private podcast. Because I've been writing, I have written lots of good emails that tie into, building a business that isn't reliant on socials and making social media optional, and as well as is related to the different things that I discuss in that private podcast. So I'm like, it's not going to take me long to do. And yes, I could have did that back in December, but December was a rough month for me and I just did not have the mental capacity to even do that. But repurpose. Okay, the last method is using email templates. Now, there is nothing wrong with using templates. If you are short on time, templates are a great option for you. I used to use templates all the time, especially when I first got started with email marketing and was still just trying to get used to it and wrapping my head around how to do it and everything. And the main thing is that I made sure to tweak them so that it sounded like me. That's the biggest thing with these templates. Don't just use word for word what is in the template. Especially if they're using certain words that you do not use, in your everyday life, change it, tweak it, make sure it sounds like you. But it gives you a really good starting point and, really kind of gives you a format to follow and everything. And so use templates. And actually, inside of the Social Media Detox Club, we have a training on welcome sequences that was done by Jenny Roth. And she shared her welcome sequence outline. And so if you join the membership, you will get access to that inside of the club portal. And it's been super helpful for a lot of the members to write or even rewrite their welcome sequences. It's a very detailed outline, and it really helps you to know, for each email, what to write, what to focus on, and everything like that. Those are your options for doing this. It does not have to take you long to write a welcome sequence. You don't have to be sitting, staring at the computer screen, trying to figure out what to actually write. Now, here's the thing. The main thing I want you to take away from this is that regardless of which method you choose, do not overthink your content and don't try to make it perfect. Just get your thoughts down, go through and then do a round of edits, and then get your welcome sequence set up. As you continue with this, you will get better at it, but you can't overthink it. Overthinking it is going to stop you from taking any action. Set a time limit. If you have to set a timer, set a timer. Give yourself a certain time limit for each of these emails. So if you're doing 5 emails and you're saying, you know what, I'm setting aside a whole hour for this, then give yourself 5 to 6 minutes for each email. It does not have to be long. Really, don't get so caught up in, oh, am I writing the right thing? Is this what people need to hear? But really look at, well, what is on my heart to share with people? What do I want to say? What would I want somebody to say to me if I was joining their email list? Do not overthink it. Okay, that is it for this episode. If you want access to some resources for writing your welcome sequence and to get my eyes on your welcome sequence for feedback, join us inside of the Social Media Detox Club. Like I said, there's a training from Jenny Roth in there. And then I also provide audits. So you can submit your welcome sequence to me and I will gave you feedback, like going through each email. A lot of the mamas in the membership have been taking advantage of it, and it's been super helpful for them to get another set of eyes on their welcome sequence and to be able to make those changes and everything and feel a lot better about their welcome sequence, feel more confident about it and everything like that. So you can learn more at mamaturnedmompreneur.com/membership. All right, mama, I'll catch you in the next episode. Hey, mama. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang with me. I would love to keep the conversation going. So head to mamaturnedmompreneur.com/marketing without socials to join my email community. I share even more tips and strategies for building a business that doesn't rely on social media and one that fits your current season of life, as well as more behind the scenes of mom and business life. All right, mama, that's it for today, but I'll catch up with you again next week.